Hello Libra, and welcome to your February 2024 forecast. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. This is going to give you everything you need for the next 6 to 8 weeks, and it can be used for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. Let's get into the mediumship messages. Today, all of the channeled messages came from dreams. The first dream was clear as day for me. I was shown an image of the devil card in tarot, and then specifically shown a series of numbers. And to me, it was basically, it looked like a ledger where you were getting paid, and I saw that it was imbalanced. There was a lot of energy towards the person that was charging or somehow taking a cut of your money, but you were doing some of this work. So for those of you that may be represented by someone, like having an agent or a manager, this is really time. It's time for you to look at the details and make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of there. If you're signing a contract for a new house, for a large ticket item, really look at the fine print and make sure that the interest payments aren't going to end up costing you more in the long run. Somewhere in the mix, I was just seeing something that didn't add up. So this is a great time to work with a specialist like a lawyer, an accountant, to get another set of eyes on something, because sometimes when you're very connected to wanting an outcome to happen, you may just blindly go forward. So really be discerning, inquisitive, and informed. This is going to help you out, and it can help you avoid this. This last bullet is going to be one of the key things here. Shop around, get a lot of different bids. Right now I'm looking for like some blinds in my house here. Same thing, I'm getting like 4 or 5 different bids because there's a big variance of that based on materials and things like that, and labor costs and all of these things. So really ask questions and don't take the first option on the table. In fact, as I was thinking about the dream, the other party, I think they expected there to be more back and forth. So you definitely can come back with questions, push for a different price, show what other options have come through. This is where doing your homework and comparison shopping, etc., is going to be very advantageous. So this is completely avoidable. It's just about not rushing and not signing on the dotted line before you feel good about it, okay? And enough with that, but I had to bring it up because it was very clearly laid out for me, including numbers, and I normally don't get that much specificity, but Spirit wanted me to see that this is a month to drive a hard bargain for Libra. Okay, you're worth it. The next totem that came through was a pig, and pigs get a bad rap, but you know what? They're really intelligent. So the first thing that I'd like to highlight is your ability to think through anything, including a messy situation. And speaking of messes, this is a month to clean things up. There were a bunch of different cards that went through my mind, and I'm like, you know, the best one here would actually be the Chariot, because it's just about taking the wheel and deciding to move beyond a situation that may not sort of meet up to your standards. It's also about taking control of parts of your life. So the second bullet, it's a call to action to clean up all aspects of your life, business, personal, and environmental, especially the latter. At its core, this month is giving you opportunities to reclaim power, to push back on things that aren't good enough, and to really set the tone and direction that you really want to see the rest of this year take on. So with that being said, let's take a look at the cards and let's see what else this month has in store for all of you. Again, you can use this for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. We'll actually go a little deeper into Sun, Rising, and Moon later. And for now, let's just be quiet and see what's coming through. I do love, by the way, that we're starting off with your card here, Libra, Justice. There's the Chariot as well. Okay. All right, everybody, let's begin with your catalyst card. We have conjunction coming through. This card is pretty magical here. A conjunction is when things align, things come together, even if normally they're opposed, even if normally you can't get everybody in the same room at the same time. There's a synchronicity that's just on the horizon for you. And this is an auspicious one at that. So one thing that you really want to be mindful of right now is not second guessing when something good happens. I've been talking to people about this a lot lately, it seems like. It's one of the big messages for 2024. So you've done a lot of work, Libra, the last couple of years for everyone, but especially your sign. You've been putting in the homework. You've been learning a lot of karmic lessons and releasing them. And in this particular deck that Kim Krantz created, this is the last card in it. And it represents kind of like the world card, a graduation and a coming together of everything. So I feel like the magic starts to happen for your sign in particular in February. And it may be leading into some really great energy in March. So it might take the entirety of the month, but it's worth it. It's worth the wait, and everything's starting to come into focus now. So I see this as a connecting card. I see it as an aligning card. And the main thing here is just like, if you have to plug something into an outlet for power, you just have to be willing and ready to make the connection. And if you can do that, then some really magical stuff may be underway. All right. Right at the center, you showed up, which is really, really auspicious. So things are also coming into balance here if you're ready for that to happen. Let's just kind of soak in the energy of all of the cards first, and then we'll get into a card by card reading. So we have overcoming some sadness and finding a balance here so that you're not sacrificing your happiness. That's the first thing I see right off the bat. For many of you, making room for love, which is exciting. We see, again, planning for the future and really bringing a focus to what you need to be balanced, to be happy, to be grounded. A course correction as well, the Chariot, again, you taking accountability and power, and not settling for less. We get a little of that with the Four of Pentacles as well. That's the karmic shadow message that is on its way out, but still kind of even showed up in this spread. Let's get started with you at the center here, Libra. Justice in the upright position. Could not ask for a better card for your sign. This card signifies Libra. The scales are almost perfectly balanced here. And Lady Justice is sort of feeling her energy here. We have her looking not afraid, not too confident, just saying, take it or leave it. And I think that's a good place for you to be right now, because if you're comfortable in your own skin, if you're not trying to please too much, if you're just listening to what feels right, I feel like you're going to be all right. This, of course, can represent taking legal action. You might still be establishing balance in your life. So there are a couple of things that still need to be put into place. But with this at the center, you're set up for success. I'm looking at her sword, and if we bring this close to the camera, you can see she's been through a few things here. She's had to fight to get where she's at. That's why I feel like this is all the sweeter, this conjunction, now that you've done the work. So just to reiterate, if everything is aligned, it feels right, you've looked at the contract, you've looked at the details, and you're in a good space, it's okay. The main thing that we saw earlier with the channeled message is just to take the time to feel good about it, not to rush to the finish line until your heart says, yes, we're exactly where we need to be. You need time to weigh it out. That's one thing as a fellow Libran that I totally get. You have to be able to look at all of the different alternatives in front of you. Here's one of the challenges for you. Three of Swords. Some of you are still dealing with either a disappointment, a setback. I like to look at this not as a permanent one, more as a speed bump. And we talked a little bit about this in the last weekend collective that I did. And it's basically saying, all right, I've stumbled upon something that I wanted to go a certain way. It didn't. Am I going to let this throw me into a tailspin, or am I simply going to assess why it didn't happen and focus on what I can control, where the energy is still open? And in doing so, maybe this was simply veering me into a better path. Rejection or setbacks can be a form of cosmic protection. So there's something that is either a little bit delayed, or it didn't just turn out exactly as anticipated. And as a Libra, this is hard because you're like, I was envisioning it a certain way. Why didn't it show up? I did the work. because something better is waiting for you, and the universe is also kind of nudging you to realize that you don't need this anymore. You don't need to be experiencing pain or disappointment. So just see whatever this is that might come through for some of you as the last of that. And you can even say to the universe, thank you, I've learned everything. Next, let's go to the next thing. And the next thing is good, Libra. You've been doing the work here for partnership. And it could be friendship, business partnership, or love, or all of the above. We don't have to limit ourselves in the capacity of receiving love. But it's basically all set up. So really the key thing for you to do is to focus on continuing to love and take care of yourself and be open to receiving this. So people can put their arms out for a hug, but you have to be willing to kind of lean into the hug. So I love the way they've illustrated this. The question from the universe is, are you ready to receive? So focus on self-love, supporting yourself, and holding space for this kind of energy to come through. And this is the month where it more likely than not can happen. And if not, we can also look at this as a magnetic card. So there's a nuance to cards like Six of Cups, Lovers, Two of Cups, and even the Ace of Cups. Basically, it's showing that there's something about you that people are reacting positively to. It's kind of like a flower that opened up and you can smell the wonderful sort of like nectar and pollen and all of that. And it's just bringing the pollinators to it. So the same thing is going on for you. There could be new opportunities in love, business, and friendship. Be discerning. Remember what I talked about with the Devil card that came through. Just take your time and get to know people and get to know opportunities as well. And you have choices in front of you, okay? For some of you, you may have already kind of eased into a relationship, and one of the things that you're worried about, and it comes through more as a fear than anything, is can I make this work? Will it work this time? So we can leave this, again, in the past. It does not have to be present anymore, but there's a little shadow or a fear of doubt around, is the Three of Swords going to come back? Let it go. That's the one thing that Spirit keeps reiterating as I'm looking at this. Don't be afraid to change up the way that you message different people. This is also known, there's a fancy word in marketing, it's called segmentation. So basically, think of it this way. If you're going to say something to your friends, your parents, or your coworkers, you often will use a different tone, different words, and you're going to approach it differently. So the same thing goes in all aspects of life. When I looked at this, it's kind of an unusual illustration here as we see a musician on the Page of Wands, and pages always get to choose the method and the tone of their communication. And so this is where the power is this month. You can take two different people that have two different expertise levels when it comes to like public speaking, and the one that just has a little bit more finesse, a little bit more ease, and reads the room a little better, has a better chance of being successful. So read the room and change up the message based on who you're talking to. That's the simplest way I can put it. That is going to help you really maximize your impact, and you're going to surprise people that you were basically able to do the homework and intuit what they wanted to hear. And this is also, pages go both ways. So it's also going to be important for you to find the right person to reach out to. So if there's a choice of 2 or 3 people and you know that you have a better rapport with someone else, go for the one that you have that connection with. Because remember, conjunctions, much like a connection, it's important to figure out who you can align with and how you can do so. But that's kind of like the secret sauce, is changing it up and focusing on tailoring it to the person that you're currently talking to. Let's look at one of your challenges this month. It's in the crowning position. So this can be an internal thing that you need to let go. It could also be something that you're dealing with in people around you. The good news is, whenever we have the Five of Swords and it's reversed, it's at least favorably positioned there. But this has to do with not taking the bait, okay? So we have someone here who might feed off of, basically getting a rise out of you, saying something to try to get an argument, or sometimes even saying something to try to deflate your achievements. And you'll know that, as you go through life, that you just can't please everyone. More importantly, can't win every argument, nor is it worth your time or energy. Sort out which battles you want to fight and walk away from people that, tend to just sort of get a rise out of, or like getting a rise out of you, because they're basically feeding off the energy and it's just not worth it. This is also a warning against your own internal saboteur that is trying to convince you that you can't. The cards today are showing you that you can, but that little voice in the head sometimes gets in the way of manifesting, so don't let that happen. As we look at the near future here, we have the Emperor reversed. Reclamation of power is one thing that I can see. Also, possibly going counter to what someone else wants or expects is also that. So this is like the old guard, the Emperor. Typically you see someone with gray hair and, it's basically, this is the way we've always done it. Both the Emperor and the Hierophant have that kind of energy, whereas we have a much younger vibe here on the Chariot. So you may be using just a very sort of intuitive and more youthful and more innovative way of thinking, and it's not going to necessarily match with the old guard. That's okay. Sometimes you have to shift. Now, this is also a challenge to not look at things like age or experience as the end all or be all. So when it comes to any opportunity in front of you, sometimes we can get way too fixated on, having to have a certain level of experience or someone having to be a certain age or things of that nature. Let's go beyond the ageist sort of stuff and focus on the person behind it. The Emperor in reverse, much like, a King or Queen of Wands reverse, is also saying, focus right now on your own management, managing all the stuff I talked about, cleaning up your personal affairs, your financial affairs, your health, your well-being. And that's focus number one. Let the door be open. And if people want to come in and get, mentorship from you, perfect. But it's not worth wasting time and energy, because what happens sometimes is it's sort of like a nagging energy, and then this person will act up. So let's just assume that they have the capacity to take care of themselves. And if they need or want your help, you can come in. And if and only if they're kind of really veering off course, do you have to sort of like put a line in the sand. So pick and choose battles, save your energy, focus on personal development and really mapping out your own strategy. And that's going to be where you can make the biggest impact. This is you this month, the Two of Wands, and she's literally mapping things out, which is great. She's taking a look and thinking, how did I get where I'm at? Am I sort of like tracking to the initial itinerary? Do I want to take a detour? This is your chance to really do some soul searching. This helps call in the High Priestess. So once you know what you want and where you want to go, the High Priestess can show you how to make it happen. So take time this month to plan, to research, to talk to others, and to really do some soul searching, okay? Great energy here, by the way. This is also a card of planning a trip or planning the next move. So at some point this month, you may be actually setting foot on a plane or a train or some sort of transportation. And we actually see that as we look in the environment here. So we have the Knight of Swords. Again, let me just show it to you where it's at in the spread, because we have planning the movement, changing course, and then moving on that course. So a course correction is what happens when a knight happens. And swords, typically this card in particular is like pumping the brake. The Knight of Swords upright is really, really fast. You'll always see rapid movement, sometimes going against the sort of energy here, because we can see the trees blowing opposite to the direction that this person's headed. So they're going into the storm. So this is just about pausing a bit and saying, I don't know if I need to go down that path of so much friction. Maybe I'm going to go in this direction instead. Really being mindful, thoughtful, and strategic about the next move. So the Knight of Swords could be taking any percentage of a sort of like, turn. Might be 45 degree, might be a full 180, whatever. But just give yourself time to think it through before hitting the accelerator. This is also a very direct card. Whenever we have any of the court cards in the suit of swords and they're reversed, it's basically saying, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to get straight to the point. So do the initial planning and pausing, course correct as needed, and then when you need to speak up, speak up. Keep it short, keep it simple, keep it to the point. Definitely keep it constructive whenever these cards are reversed. The other thing that this can represent is editing, revising, or rethinking a strategy, or like taking the red marker to something and saying, we were talking about contracts, right, in the channeled messages. we need to change this. This needs to be altered. This isn't good enough. So you might be going through that revisionary energy here, and it may take a little bit of time, but it's going to save a lot of time down the road, especially if you haven't signed on the dotted line, because you won't have to fight a battle down the road. In fact, now as I'm thinking of the Five of Swords, when it comes to negotiation, if somebody tries to kind of get pushy or start an argument, always stay level-headed and don't let this person's sort of tendency to try to make it something that it's not get in the way of you saying the right thing, doing the right thing, making the necessary edits, and reclaiming your power so that you can get on the course and the path that you've really been wanting to see happen here. This Chariot card is reminding you that once you set that path and start to go in that direction, that the synchronicity is underway. And that's what this whole month is about for you. It's about getting back on track. It's about embracing this opportunity that's starting to line up on the horizon and not second guessing yourself, Libra. You owe it to yourself to go for whatever this is that you've started to create, to manifest, to dream. And to that end, let's look at your outcome card. There's a little bit of a cautionary note here. We have the Four of Pentacles here. I'm glad it's reversed, but it's still present. So if we look at it in the upright position, we can see someone that's holding on to that center pentacle right in front of their heart space, thinking to themselves, this isn't the best thing, but it's here. And I don't like this phrase, and because the devil came through, we're going to bring it through here just to help kind of like clear out the energy. Sometimes people will say the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. Guess what? They're both devils. So if you don't like what's in front of you, move beyond it. There's something better. You can create something better. You can attract something better. You are worth something more than that. And all you have to do sometimes is ask or change direction. And that's what this is really about, a course correction and a chance for you to connect to something that is greater than or equal to. We don't want something that's less than. So greater than or equal to you. Pulling in higher energy, higher love, higher opportunities, and this lovely conjunction that we saw here in the catalyst. Let's expand the forecast now and take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll begin first with the health card. This is your mind, body, and spirit. And as you saw when I was pulling the cards, we got two cards that came through. So let's read both of them. We'll start with the one on top, which is reversed, and then the one beneath it will be the opportunity. So the presenting energy here is a little oddly stated. For this, you were born. So it's basically saying this moment in time is what you came to the planet for. There is a core lesson, a milestone, and you set it up. One of the cool things that I was able to connect with about 10 years ago when I started to get some past life recollections was the out-of-body experience of me being with my guides, starting to kind of like program this experience in this lifetime. So things that we do is it's kind of like a changing room where you try on different personas, maybe like a different culture, a different language, a different set of parents. You're like, what would this do and how would I grow? And you get to kind of try out different paths. There's something in this moment that you set up in that sort of changing room with your spirit guides, with your higher self. So embrace it. Whether it's challenging, whether it's amazing, you came here for this, so you're going to be okay for it. Let's look at the caption beneath it. It says, foster your intention for incarnating in this dimension. Let's focus on the intention piece of it. You're already here. So it's basically just saying, I intend to succeed. I'm going to be very present. And I always talk about working and moving with intention. We can connect that with the Two of Wands here. So your intention is everything. And your presence of mind helps you connect to your power. Let's look at the opportunity beneath it. Build in breaks. You're working too hard. Saunter slowly. This artist just likes doing tongue twisters. Take your time, have some fun, and do it with some swagger as well, because you'll notice that people that are truly comfortable in their skin, they don't worry what people think. It's just sort of like, yeah, I'm going to take 5 minutes. We'll get this done. Don't worry about it. Your confidence is attractive. And if you can really feel like it's okay to be yourself, to take a break, to basically just be present, that's going to make it better. So these two actually do work together. You've been set up for success because you picked this lesson in this moment in your sort of soul space when you were planning to come here. You just have to take a break long enough to recognize your power and recognize that you've got this. So take a break, take some time off, meditate, take a lunch break. Definitely don't work through your lunch break if you have one. And just be present. That's the main thing here. Being present is actually a gift to yourself and to others. It's a play on words, but it really is the truth. Okay, we're looking at health. Let's just look at the cards now and see what additional messages might be coming through. I think one of the big opportunities right now is healing. And this is typically emotional in sort of the way that it shows up. So as I said earlier, it can simply just be a disappointment. It can be as big as a breakup or as impactful as like losing someone in your life. But it can also be as small as just, someone said no when you asked them out, or, you didn't get a job that you applied for, but it's not like the end of the world. It just feels bigger than it is. So it's really about contextualizing this and figuring out what else you can focus on, as I said earlier. Because we are looking at the heart, not so much in this illustration, but traditionally, we can see that it's going through the heart space. This is also a chance to focus on heart health. So that includes exercise, the emotional component, which we just talked about, and then also what you're putting into your body from a dietary perspective. All of these things are going to require professionals, so you'll work with them for that. But we are seeing a heart-centric approach. If your heart's happy, everything is balanced. Traditionally, if we look at like the Egyptian idea of the soul being weighed, I believe it was a heart and a feather, right? So this is also about making sure that you're living in a way where at the end of your days, when you leave this planet, you would think, I put my heart 100% into this. I gave it my all, and it felt right doing it. And as long as you do that, you're set up for success. It feels like this is a time to either heal your own history when it comes to like relationship ups and downs, or maybe even a familial or ancestral thing, because it looks like you're being aligned to a really nice partnership. So again, whether it's a best friend or a lover or just good people coming into your life, it's time. Notice how we have the caduceus in the background, kind of this almost looks like the medical symbol. So there's someone that's coming in that's going to also bring you just that happiness and balance that you so deserve. So I think that there's a chance to love yourself and love others this month. Make time for that. Get moving a little bit. Again, I'm not a doctor, so work with your doctor. But when this card is reversed, we even see the Emperor standing up, not sitting down. So it's a reminder to move your legs a little bit more and move your body to the best of its capacity, using your own common sense with that. Get second opinions, do research whenever you have to make an important decision with your body. She's looking at all the options that are out there. Slow down. So we have two messages here. Build in brakes, and this one is literally pumping the brake, right? I talked about that. And before this person's even driving, she's looking at the map. So there's a lot of intention behind everything. There's a lot of braking. This is going to help you save yourself time in the long run. What we also see here again is holding on to something that doesn't need to be there anymore. So one way that you can work past that is talking it out. Sometimes we have to just vent to a friend or to a therapist to let that go. That's the last thing that I see. Most of this is pretty good, folks. Justice is also just balance overall. So remember what I was saying, finding balance in all aspects of your life, your environment, your health, your money, all of those things will affect your general well-being. Pretty manageable, nothing that's kind of jumping out to be overly concerned about, other than some of you might be working too hard. Okay, I think we can manage that. Let's move from health to wealth, a nice segue into wealth. And in the wealth center, we have the buffalo spirit. Abundant universe will provide. So open yourself up to receive more. This is especially important for those of you that might not see it yet. The buffalo spirit comes through saying this abundant opportunity is on the horizon. You are actively creating it. You can change direction if you don't see it. Now is the time to make that happen. Let's break this down into three different categories. Those that are working, those that might be seeking employment, and those that are either retired or students. If you are currently working, the main thing here is, are you happy? So for many of you out there, happiness is missing. And maybe you're working so hard that you're either not getting the money that you want, or the money that you're getting just doesn't feel like it's worth the heartache. And for some of you, the lack of good morale, because the Five of Swords can be people that you're just not enjoying spending time with. So if that's the case, it's definitely time to move in a different direction. For the rest of you, it's saying you're unhappy with the lack of balance. Maybe you want to spend more time with your family. Maybe you're willing to take a pay cut because money isn't everything. You could take less and find more balance. So it's saying look beyond the bottom line when it comes to just general happiness. And if we just tie it back to my beginning messages when it comes to contracts, I'll pull the slide up here. It's really, really important to make sure that you've read the fine print and that you're not in a situation where someone is profiting from you or skimming off the top. Because again, I saw like someone getting 3/4 and you getting 1/4 of it, and it just didn't feel like a fair exchange. In most agent sort of situations, it would be the opposite. A typical agent cut would be about 20%, 15, 20, 25, depending on their expertise, your field, etc. So something's off with that. So make sure that you're very, very clear on the contract. And if it doesn't feel right to you, or if it's not serving you, we've got justice in the center. You may actually have a case, and it's worth fighting for that for sure. Other things that I see is a power struggle. Like I said, you may have innovative ideas that challenge the old guard. There's only so much you can do, and sometimes you're just sort of like, it's like tires in the mud. You're not actually making progress. So you have to really look at the resistance to listening, because by the way, Five of Swords does not listen. They just talk. So if you're in a negotiation table or a meeting and the other person's just talking but not listening, you really should be focusing your sights on something different, okay? Those are the challenges, but the opportunity is if you decide to get out there and network, there is a great connection. There may be another person that can help you get beyond this person or these people that aren't listening, but you may have to also just sort of like sing your own tune, write your own path, etc. The thing that's missing from this overall spread is what we see the promise of here, the abundance. So for some of you, it's about entrepreneurial energy, or it's about being a little bit more outspoken or aggressive so that you are not accepting less than what you're worth, okay? Shifting the focus now to those that are seeking employment. The most important thing for job seekers is to make sure that you're happy and fulfilled with whatever the next step is. This represents something karmic that doesn't really need to be present anymore. And as we looked and talked about just a moment ago, the abundance here is really important. Not accepting less than, not letting someone come into your life that is, as we just talked about, possibly taking more than they should, really driving a hard bargain at the negotiation table, asking why certain things are not included. If you're looking at the benefits package and you think that's not enough, speak up. It's really important to drive a hard bargain when interviewing and when seeking things out. Some of you may be making money like ride sharing, because I see so many vehicles here, and that's a kind of common thing nowadays. So it might be a side gig. It may be something that you've decided to do. We're just getting confirmation in that. Entrepreneurial energy definitely coming through loud and clear. Make sure that you have enough to set up that entrepreneurial opportunity, because it does take seed money. And so you may need to spend a little bit more time saving. You may need to do something else in the short run before you do that, or something to supplement it. And maybe that's why this was coming through. No matter how we look at this, we just want to be prepared for the expectations of running a small business, because it is a little bit more expensive sometimes. And you want to make sure too that you're doing the legal groundwork from the beginning. So making sure that if you have a DBA or LLC or something that you need to set up and clear through a lawyer, non-disclosure, all that jazz, that you're doing that from the very beginning so that it's not messy, because the pig was the totem today. So we don't want any of that messy energy on the onset of a new business, for instance. You may also need to do a little bit of traveling and a little bit of legwork to make sure that you, if you're moving to a different city or if you're looking in different areas, just make sure you like what you're possibly changing course into. Or again, whether it's a new career or a new city, you just want to make sure that you've done the homework, which is what we see here, to make sure that this is what you want. Can you find something? Yes. There may be a little bit of stagnation at the beginning of the month, but it does look like the pace picks up. And just don't accept something that isn't going to give you what you need. This is also a reminder here that money isn't everything. We need to make sure that there's time for this. So maybe some of you are willing and ready to do part-time work and focus more on love or family or personal development. And it's basically about looking at the bigger equation when it comes to all of that. Things should line up for you though, because we have the conjunction card. So don't let this get you down. Don't be afraid to, advocate for more. Pass things through a second set of eyes. Make sure that you're putting the proper groundwork if you're starting a company. And if you do all of that, you should be good. When you are sending out your resumes, by the way, remember what I said, tailor them to each audience. Even though you might just be uploading them digitally, you still want to make sure you're changing some of the words and the order of things so that it's going to resonate with that audience. For those that are retired, there is a big message coming through, which is, yes, you want to focus on finances, but it shouldn't hold you back from having fun. There's a lot of things that you might be able to do within a stone's throw of where you live, because we just see like things that would represent getting in the car or public transportation and having fun. And the big thing that's coming through is mapping something out, making plans. And making plans in advance can actually save you money for traveling. You could go off season. So I get traveling, I see teaching, mentorship, partnership sort of energy here. And the main thing here is just making time to have some fun. Remember we said build in breaks. So these don't have to be long, extravagant trips. It's just saying, you know what, this Tuesday I'm going to meet this friend. I'm going to take a day trip here and I'm going to make sure that I do a hike with my buddies. Like just fill up your schedule in different ways, and there can be a lot of things that create movement in your life because that also connects with the health message. For students out there, you've got some big decisions to make. The Justice card tells me that right now, this is going to shape maybe the next year or two. So make sure that you're doing something that brings fulfillment and happiness. Don't argue with other people, just listen to your heart, and you take the reins, you take the wheel and drive, okay? Let's move on now to relationships and see what's coming through for love. We have here Gaia Gateway Activation. So this is about grounding yourself. The caption beneath it says, learning experiences, wisdom transmission, earth intelligence. Okay, the learning thing I already picked up on because this can be mentor-mentee energy, basically a teacher or some sort of I was going to say a therapist, but it can just be someone who is giving you or imparting wisdom on you or to you. So this is a great time for that kind of connection. And then we have, or going back to school, by the way, of course, yes, because learning experiences and wisdom transmission are both of those. The earth intelligence, some of you might just be deciding to see the world a little bit and travel with the one that you love. I was picking up on that already when I was looking at those that may not be working at this moment because you'll have a little bit more time to do so. But there we go. All of these things could be playing a role in relationships. The main thing here is grounding yourself in the relationship, making sure that both of you are on solid ground. The fact that this comes through when we start to look at either those in a relationship or looking for love, sometimes it can mean that you're head over heels. You're putting so much energy into that feeling of just love that you forget about some of the other important things in your life. Let's break this down. We're going to start off with those in a relationship first, then we'll look at those that are single and looking, and then those that are single and happy. If you're in a relationship, the most important thing is to find some balance. So yes, grounding yourself, and most importantly, making sure that if you need to do some healing or your partner needs to do some healing, that is priority one, because you can't fix everything in their heart or in their head and vice versa. So if you need help, get it and hold some space for that healing to happen. I'm also seeing that some of you may have an ex in the picture. So you might have met somebody new, but there's still some entanglements with this former partner that you really don't want to get in the way of this. And so the important thing here for you would be to create boundaries and to really do the healing that needs to be done so that this new relationship that you're landing in has a chance to really grow, okay? So that's another nuanced message for some of you. Let's see what else is coming through for existing relationships. Just an improvement in communication. What might be happening here is one, both, or either of you may just be kind of oscillating between not listening, talking over the other person, or sometimes even just taking a quick shot or something. And you're not even intending to do that, but maybe you had a rough day and something came through the wrong way through your mouth. And it's just really about saying, I really didn't mean that. I'm so sorry. So in order to not even get there, remember what we got here in health. It's about taking a break, and it would be great if you can reset before you have the partner time and say, give me 5 or 10 minutes. I had the worst day possible. I just need to clear my head, and then I want to spend some time with you. Breathe, get your energy in the right place. Remember who you're talking to. I talked about this earlier. Change the frequency. This person has nothing to do with what you just had, 6 or 7 hours dealing with, and they also don't need to take on all of that either. So you need a way to have an outlet for this. For some of you, this is also saying, this could be a therapist, this could be a sport, this could be some artistic endeavor, but you need a way to channel some of the frustration in your life so that the partner isn't in the receiving end of this. So that's one thing that I'm also picking up on. There are some age or experience gaps for many of you out there. The thing here is that we don't want to kind of amplify this more than it needs to be amplified. It exists, but it doesn't have to be the end all be all. I think the greatest thing that you could do to basically create some health in the relationship is to plan something together, a mutually exciting and joyful, I should say, activity here. So you'll be able to find where your interests converge, where that conjunction takes place. So plan something together. And this is always good. This is one of the best cards you can get in a relationship because it means that you see a future together. And so when you start to make plans together, it basically reiterates that you're in it for the long haul, right? So this 7 of Cups can be good because it's a person's thinking of you. We, of course, want to see things like Ace of Cups and the 2 of Cups. So you have 2 of the best cards that you could get. What you have to work through a little bit is communication. One partner kind of is coming across as being a little bit short, and it's coming from a different place because the Knight of Swords is not headed in the right direction. So we need to kind of veer the conversation on another path. Think before you speak, bite your tongue, really formulate the words that you need to and remember who you're talking to. I think it's important also, I saw percentages earlier that did not quite match up and are not something that I'd be looking for if I was purchasing something. But if we're looking at give and take, we can kind of extrapolate this in a different way. If it is something like a 70-30 or an 80-20, because it was in those ranges, that's not enough. That's one partner doing a lot and another partner not returning. So don't be afraid to be a little vulnerable. Don't be afraid to open up. We don't want to kind of, like I said, have that verbal, sort of like vomiting of all the day's stuff. It's more saying, here's my hope, here's my dream, here's my frustration from today, but I'm so happy I'm here with you. And maybe do you have any insights, like opening up in that way rather than just complaining? So those are some tools. I'm just your tarot reader giving you some things that I'm seeing here. You can figure out what works best for you, Libra. Let's move on. For those that are looking for love, can you find it? Yes. You may still be healing in the heart space. It does feel like it's in the past for the most part because it looks like love's coming in, but there's a little shadow of some sort of a wound. And when this new love comes in, it may make you remember something, or you may wish. Here's the beautiful sort of interpretation of this. Some of you wish that your mom, your dad, your friend, your teacher could see you now. And I always like to remind people that they can see you now. So, they're there in spirit. They're also seeing this lovely exchange and opportunity, and just really sit in this moment and drink it in, okay? So if you're looking for love, can you find it? Yes. If you need to get out of an old relationship, I mentioned that before, get that all sort of sorted out first and really decide once and for all that you are ready. You are ready for happiness. You might be a little bit older, the partner might be a little bit older than you, or there's an old soul coming through. So same age, but a lot of wisdom. And I see a very similar energy. Like attracts like. It could be another air sign because we have that coming through for you. Or it could just be someone that really talks a lot. I'm very easy to have a conversation with. Make sure that you're able to be listened to. That's the only thing that I would say here, that there's a give and take there. I think that the kind of person you're bringing in is great. Actually, the Chariot in the upright position, we have two different motorcycles here. It seems like this is someone that wants to walk or ride this path with you. The main thing is some of you are protecting yourself. You're afraid of being hurt. So this is basically saying that's in the past, it's not in the present. Something's aligning to bring a higher love through, which is what the Two of Cups is. We just have to let the healing come through. If you're single and happy, good for you. Now is a great time for you to focus on doing something new in your life. And I see, much like I was looking out for those that were retired and just focusing on what they wanted to do, travel is coming through. The other thing here is just some personal healing. And because you don't have another partner or person attached to you at this moment, it's going to really allow you to just do what you need to do without apologies. I think many of you are also healing wounds connected to the Father. This is true for all love. It just looks like there's an opportunity to heal paternal energy and familial energy overall. Okay? Let's move on now to the Destiny card. In Destiny, I've been talking about this several times, the journey. First of all, the journey isn't over. It's really about what do you want to do next? And that is kind of a question or a prompt from the universe. What's next, Libra? Once you know what's next, then you can start to see the road signs and figure out how to get there. It's also reminding you that travel can bring you closer to what it is you're trying to accomplish. So for those that are thinking of traveling or including travel in that future sort of goal or aspiration, this is just confirmation to that end. And it's also just a reminder of how far you've come. And have you given yourself ample time to really look at that and see just how amazing you're doing and how you were set up for success in this moment, okay? Let's dig a little deeper and take a look now at the sun, rising, and moon sign messages so you can prepare for this upcoming month. Sun, rising, and moon. Beginning first with sun sign messages. Ace of Wands. Libra's sun. If you can think it, you can do it. We have an idea taking root, and I like to think of the Ace of Wands almost like a relay race. And the question is, how do you find that connection that we saw here that can kind of help you bring this to the next level? Some of you do need like a project manager, an agent, someone that can help you out with that. And for some of you, this is just saying you have the inspiration, but are you also taking action and moving it forward? An Ace of Wands really does require expression and movement and energy investment too. So get passionate about something this month. And if you can do that, you can see movement on it. It also can represent someone approaching you with an idea, and you get to decide if it's good enough for you. Discernment is one of the most important things this month to help us avoid the devil energy that we talked about earlier. And then this is just a card of ideation and brainstorming, and it nicely leads into the Two of Wands. You may have one or two ideas coming through this month. Continue to focus and see what comes to you. Put it into writing, put it into action. It's a good month. Opportunities knocking. That's the main thing that I see here. In the rising and ascendant, we have the Four of Swords, which is a reminder to slow down. In the upright position, you can see someone resting. Resting is important because it gives us a chance to gain clarity, to gain inspiration, to connect to our higher source. It also gives the body time to heal, and it helps us get over the Three of Swords. We can literally see the three swords above her, and she is gifted that final fourth sword as a chance to bring an ace into the next day, basically. So if you're feeling burned out, take a break. You can only do so much. Say no to things that are unrealistic. Listen to your body if you feel like you're being pushed too much. And really make sure that if you are very, very successful in this moment, which I hope you are, because remember, we had this beautiful buffalo spirit showing abundance. Some of you are just in the throes of being busy. Take a moment to say, gosh, this is great. It's not always going to be this busy. Delegate if you can, ask for help if you can, say no if you can, catch sleep whenever possible, and don't basically burn yourself out is what we get with this one. And the very last message with this card is it just takes time sometimes. So you don't want to rush something. It takes time to move on emotionally. It takes time to settle into a new situation. Give everything the cosmic time that it deserves, and everything will be all right if you do that. In the moon sign, we have the Six of Wands reversed. There's a few simple pieces of sage advice from Spirit here. The first is that success is subjective. What you term successful will not be what someone else does. So this is really saying set the compass to your own personal parameters for success and let that be enough, Libra. You're doing great, even if someone else doesn't see it. Being successful means being ahead of the curve. So this Six of Wands is showing an unusual direction or path where there may be, sort of everything's set up, but no one's at the table yet. That doesn't mean that you're not doing what's right. So success is subjective. If you are on the bleeding edge of doing something that is going to eventually be a trend, sometimes it's lonely at the forefront, but that doesn't mean that you're not in the right direction. What can set you up for challenges is trying to simply do something because it's popular. So don't chase the sort of popular trends, create the trend, and don't do something because it will bring you success. Do something because it feels right. And that is the simple message with a successful card like the Six of Wands in reverse. You may also simply be taking a moment here to retrospectively look at your past success and just celebrate that. And know that if you can do it again, great. If you can't, all that matters is that you do the best that you can in any given moment. Because we have the scales and we have what normally would be a heart card here on this, and it's saying you're going to weigh your own life by how heavy or how light your heart feels. So do something that brings joy and lightness and levity to the heart, okay? Let's now take a look at the final question for today. This is anything else that you might be dealing with that I did not cover in the general reading. This is your moment. Focus on that question and let's see what Spirit has to say. You received the Ten of Wands reversed. So first and foremost, if you asked a yes or no question, this is saying yes, but don't take on more emotionally, energetically, or physically than you need to. It's happening, just don't push it. We can see someone here who is definitely feeling that weight, whether figurative or literal, and they just need to slow down for a moment. That little bird on top also can represent someone that might be riding the coattails of your success. So slow down and make sure that you're getting your credit and your due, and you're also taking care of yourself. We saw many of those messages coming through here when we were looking at sun, rising, and moon. Like a good idea, but not enough sleep. And one thing with this is to make sure that you enjoy your moment in the spotlight too. So don't rush through any of these things. You've worked hard to get to this moment. In the upright position, we can see someone who is nearly there, but they might be stressing or straining. So I think the most important thing here is to raise your hand, speak up, say no, ask for help if you need to, and know that you are just 1 or 2 steps away from seeing something to its final phase. A 1 + 0 = 1. If we reduce this in numerology, it's also showing that there's a new beginning. So we already saw that for Libra Sun. So it's kind of like rapid. Something is done and something quickly starts up. So whatever downtime you can take, enjoy it. And if you need some help so that you can kind of juggle all of these things, then definitely get the help, okay? But I see an exciting month for you, and this is a yes, but don't overdo it, okay? I hope you enjoyed this, Libra. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe. It's free, it helps the channel grow, and I appreciate it. You can also give me a follow on social media. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, on all major social media platforms. And always remember that I do not offer private readings, nor do I use direct messages or comments to solicit business. So if you see that, block and report. Let me know about it as well. Also, if you'd like to show love and support, it's optional, but it really helps. So I want to say thanks in advance for anybody that can do that. You can be a member, you can give a super sticker, super thanks, or you can also give a super chat if you're on a live stream. So thank you in advance to that. And by the way, speaking of live streams, I do Sunday Collective every Sunday at 9:15 a.m. Pacific time. I do daily card readings as well, and I post new videos on Monday, Thursday, and Friday. So check them out on my main channel page. And again, if you subscribe, you'll get notifications of all of this. Thank you again for your time and energy and for being the best part of what I do here on YouTube. I couldn't be here without your love and support. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.